You can always tell how much someone loved their spouse by how quickly they get in the bed with someone else in their death. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. We are at the fourth episode of Shogun called The Eightfold Fence. Um, Not a lot of Toranaga in this episode. We get more of sort of the side characters or the people that are sort of in his orbit. A lot of Yabashuke in this one, and seeing his machinations of playing one side versus the other, and kind of doing what's best for him, because he gets some news in this, and he's like, "Wait, hold on, that's not. I picked the damn wrong side." So this episode begins with a message being sent to Yabashuge's village. And currently, while Yabashuge is away, Lord Ami is the one who's sort of in charge and holding rank. And so as they approach the land of Izu, all the people are sort of getting prepped and ready to celebrate the coming back of their lord. While they are en route or close to shore, about to make their way, Toranaga drops on Yabashuge. And guess what? I have resigned from the council. He's like, wait, what? You're going to die, and anybody who's associated with you is going to die. What the? Why? Why? What are you doing? And Toranaga just kind of calmly tells him everything has a plan. Everything is going the way I need to. They have not sent the letter yet for me to be dead. So clearly they have to wait until they get their fifth council member to do so. So they don't have enough votes to make that move yet. So I've got a little bit more time. And Yabashuke, it's freaking the hell out. It's clear at this point that Yabashuke still doesn't quite know what side he wants to partake in, whether he wants to be with Ishido or whether he wants to be with Toranaga. He's going to do what best gives him the longest life expectancy and the most power, the most ability to reign. And so he's going to go with whatever works in his favor. Right now, it appears that the Toranaga side ain't the side to be on. So he is very much trying to figure out quickly in his brain, how can I get out of this? And so, but he is giving his island, his place off to Toranaga and to Blackthorn and to Mariko. Now that Blackthorn is a high-ranking, like a high-ranking official within Toranaga's clan, he has to sort of treat him as such. So he's giving him a place to stay with Mariko nearby because she's the translator. Mariko gets him set up with a concubine. That's not the word they use. I think we called her a consort, but it's the same idea. Who actively does not want to be a part of this at all. And it's the young woman who, the very first episode, which now, see why they showed us that, because it was kind of interesting. Other than showing Mariko having pain in her life and being able to control power, it wasn't really clear why they showed this woman, but they show the woman who, in the very first episode, lost her husband and her son because her husband stepped out of line in front of the council with Ishido, and basically that was the sacrifice. She is now being put up as the consort for Blackthorn, and she's like, "Nah, I don't want any parts of that. Just kill me. Like, let me go do anything the hell else but this." And she tries to sort of come at Mariko, and Mariko shuts that down quickly and kind of is like, "Hey, real quick, I've been through some stuff too. I am doing what I am doing in the favor of Lord Toranaga. You need to be doing the exact same for him." She's kind of just like, "Okay, cool. I'll do this for 6 months. Like, 6 months is what you got for me. That's all I got." And that is sort of what they have said that the stay for Blackthorn in this situation is going to be. You're going to be here for 6 months. He doesn't take well to that. He attempts to go to his ship and go get his men, go get his guns. And Mariko was like, "We can have your guns delivered to you. You're not going to see your people, not for a while. But they're fine. They're safe, but you're not going to go to them. Your job, your mission, what you have agreed to be, is Lord Toranaga's right hand to teach us the way of these weapons." And he's like, "So I'm basically a prisoner. Like, you've got me set up so that I am a prisoner of Toranaga. Now he's saying this because I am helping his fleet become better at war, but I can't leave my place. I can't get my guns. I can't get to my ship, and I have to stay here for 6 months. I am a prisoner, just with better living quarters and a consort. Don't forget the consort. Um, but he just feels like a prisoner. He feels like the agreement that he made doesn't feel like the agreement that he's getting. And for Toranaga, because he's the Lord, it's like, nope, I'm doing everything on the up and up. I am doing what I have told you that I'm going to do. Sorry. Yabashige has the conversation with Omi, and it's kind of just like, look, I don't know what to do. Like, I did not mean to sort of turn on Ishido in the moment that I did, but Lord Toranaga, I didn't know he was there. And so to keep face in the moment, I had to go with him. And I know that that seems a type of way to Ishido and all those folks, but that is not my intention. And I need to find a way now to show and prove to Ishido that I am with him, especially now that he knows things ain't going well for Toranaga. I got to show that I'm right with Ishido. And so he's like, well, look, the best thing that I can think of until they find that fifth council member, I still got a little bit of time. Perhaps I should do everything possible to get the guns and these cannons under my thumb, so that when the fifth council member is appointed and thus puts the death order on Toranaga, um, I can offer these guns and cannons as a favor, as this is what I was always doing. This is the entire plan. Wink, wink, to Ishido, and maybe he'll give me a bit of a pardon, and some of the mistakes that I have made. He's trying to figure out what he can do to sort of get on the good side, because he now realizes that, oh crap, they all think that I'm with Toranaga, and Toranaga is now just basically given up. What can I do? Toranaga in this, I didn't mention, goes off on a boat. Like, after he hails and gets claimed by the clan there in the Izu, he takes off and goes to go do a mission that he has to go take care of. So we don't see him for the rest of the episode. He's gone, which allows for a lot of BS to occur off his watch. When he's not around, people make decisions, and boy, does it go the wrong way. The engine, Blackthorn, and his consort get a little bit closer. While she's very much adamant to not be a part of him, they do sort of create a bond as the episode goes along. And there's a moment where Blackthorn just does not respect Omi at all, Lord Omi at all. They've had previous interactions before, and he kind of anytime that he can, he calls him out of his name in whatever English American version of it he can. The point where he can't hear him, Mariko can, and Mariko's kind of just always cleans it up like, yeah, no, he is pleased. And after he just dropped like 7 F bombs and calls him everything F sweat or whatever, he just makes up some words. He strings them together like an old Rodney Dangerfield episode. But he pulls his weapons on Omi, and Mariko's like, whoa, what are you doing? They're giving you protection. Like, you're protected here. You don't need to do this. And Blackthorn's kind of just like, I don't like this guy. I don't respect this guy. But he's sort of now he's so hot headed, he sort of put himself in a corner where they're now going to kill him. It's at that point that his consort is like, hey, give me the guns. Tell him quickly to give me the guns, and I will protect the guns. No one will get his guns from him. And so he does. And there's a moment where she then pulls the gun on Ami to say, hey, I got my guys back. So whatever you're thinking you're going to do, you're not going to get these guns from me. I'm not giving them to you. So this is just the way that it is. And so their army leaves it as such because he is of a ranking that Lord Toranaga saw fit. Can't take those weapons from him. And she now has his back. And so there's a little bit of a bond there. So Yabashige decides to put his plan into action. And so he wants to see the cannons and guns at work. And so he calls Mariko and Blackthorn in front of him to sort of say, hey, teach me your tactics. They're like, we don't need to learn about stuffing guns, doing with guns. We've had guns for ages. We know how to do that. Guns aren't our issue. I need to learn about your foreign tactics. And so then Blackthorn starts giving up a story, like a massive, long, wordy story about an ancient battle. A battle that Mariko pulls out pretty quickly that he was not a part of. She's like, you're only like 30 something. This sounds like this was an older story. This isn't your story to tell. And Obviously, they know what they're saying to each other, but Yabashige has no clue what she's being said. He's like, "What are you saying?" He's like, "Well, just trying to get some clarity on what he's saying." And she's like, "Do you have a true story?" At that point, Blackthorn's like, "I've told you folks multiple times that I am a man of the sea. So whatever you're talking about with infantry, I don't know that. So you put appointed me for this position that it doesn't really make a lot of sense for me to be here for." So he's adamantly like, I don't want to be the prisoner. I don't want to be this. And you put me in the wrong position. Like I'm not the man for this job. Then he quickly thinks on his feet. And he teaches them about the usefulness of the cannons, which is what Yabashige wants. And they sort of see, because Yabashige wants him to prove to him that, hey, these cannons, they're so far away, it's such a far range weapon, they're not going to do any damage. And he's like, all right, look, I'm going to put out targets for these. And he does, he lays out targets and he hits them accurately to the point where Yabashige is like, oh, this is a game changer. Okay, appreciate that. There's a brief moment because they do the training over multiple days, but there's a day break in between where Mariko starts to translate some of that um, the book that Blackthorn had, and sees that there's a lot of death and allegiances to and orders that he has from a previous ruler, previous person whose thumb he was under versus Toranaga, and she kind of just has to remind him, hey, your allegiance is to Lord Toranaga. So whatever orders you had previously, go ahead and get rid of them. Throw them out your head. This is where you're supposed to be. So then we see the next day of training with the cannons. He shows them more of the stuff, and Lord Ishido, men, not Lord Ishido, he's not coming himself, but Lord Ishido's men are coming from the west. And so it's Jozen who knows Yabashige and knows that he's betrayed this. He's basically coming with the decree for Yabashige, like, real quick, where's Lord Toranaga? He's like, he's not here, he's gone. Cool. Lord Ishido wants you to report to him for failure to hold up your end of the bargain, for lying and turning your back on him. They're going to kill you. That's the rule. And it's an invite. So it's like, I'm giving you the option to do so. And if you don't do so, we're going to find you and murder you. So it's not really so much of an invite. It's more of a demand. Get your ass over here. He wants to stay in good faith and good graces with the council. So he tells the council, like, look, I got a game changer here with these cannons. Let me show you the ways of how these work. And maybe that should buy me a good favor with Lord Ishido. Because the war is coming and you want to have these on your side. And Jozen's like, all right, cool. I will stay here and view a viewing of whatever it is that you think these are. So they're going to do so the next day. But now they're in the conundrum because Yamaguchi can either show them these cannons and they take them and they're the ways of the war and they're like, all right, they're going to easily win the war. Or with Nagakato there, Toranaga's son, perhaps we should send word to Toranaga to give him the heads up so he can decide and tell us what we need to do next. And Nagakato is like, nah, don't send my dad a word. Like, he gets real calm and matter of fact, like, nah, don't send a word. I got this. I know what to do. I figured it out. Famous last words. At night, to further show his appreciation to his consort, Blackthorn gives her a gun. He basically gifts her a gun. And she's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? And Mariko's like, I see what he's doing. This is an offering from him to sort of say thank you, be at peace. And he's like, and he says, I will teach you how to shoot this so that nobody's going to mess with you on my watch. You're going to be a perfect backup. Mariko's kind of taken aback by that. Like, that's a fantastic gesture. That's, mind you, there's been a lot of moments where she's stolen a look and looked at him like fondly. And this was another piece that kind of just like warmed her heart towards Blackthorn. But then the consort goes to go her quarters and pulls out two swords. She gives them to Blackthorn. It's like, look, there's nobody who's going to be at the rank that you are without having these swords. Like, they have to have swords. And so she gives them swords from her father, who is no longer with them, as sort of a sign of this is what you need. And so her guard has sort of come down, and she's sort of started to appreciate and respect Blackthorn a bit. Hey, that boy's a charmer to those Japanese women. So then Blackthorn goes to go finally take a bath after basically like, nah, I don't need the bath. He finally decides to take them up on that. So he goes to a spring and kind of strips down. And lo and behold, Mariko follows him there. Now, here's the thing. I feel like Mariko knew. Mariko's been sort of planning this, like, yo, I want to take that down. And she sees him naked, and whatever decision she had in her brain is like, look, my husband may or may not be dead. I haven't got verification on that for sure, but I know I want that. Give me that. But before that happens, she has a bit of a moment where she starts to break down, and we start seeing a bit of a flashback, but we don't get it all. But she starts to show the pain and the way that her family, she's like, her family name is something more important that you may have heard of than she has been letting on. At that point, Blackthorn shuts that down, and it's kind of like, look, I don't need to know any of that. If you want to tell me that, cool, but I that's your secret to have. That's your price to bear. I don't need that to become one or to come better with you. She kind of reiterates like, hey, you had a queen and all this, and like, hey, what would a night like this be in your hometown? And he goes into pretty much a description of what a night out. It's like you would meet the queen. I would take you out. We would do this and that, and it seemed like a great date night. They just sort of imagine this date night together, and I think it's the first time Mariko's never had anything like that. Like I feel like she's been sort of betrothed to Buntaro. She didn't really get an option. It's clear that she wasn't in a relationship that was loving on her end. It was more of like, hey, I'm a body, he's a body. We have to do this for whatever bloodline or what have you. This was the first time where in that you can see her visualize this dream. And in that moment for her, they actually went on that date. Like that was a date that they went on and she felt it. And it's crazy because before Buntaro's believed death, this was never an option for her or even a possibility. So now she gets to sort of play in this world and sort of believe that this was a date that she went on. And thus, Blackthorn gets back to his quarters, asleep. His consort leaves the room, and then Mariko comes in and sort of and wakes him up, and then they make love. And then the very next day, she acts like absolutely nothing happened, which is baller. I don't know if she just wanted to get her rocks off or she's just trying to keep up the appearance because like she still does have a job for Lord Tornaga and she does want something more from him, but you can't being a Japanese woman and then him being the barbarian. But she is pretending or leading him to believe like, yeah, it was your consort that came in last night. She knows what's up, and he's like, I am extremely confused. Like, who did I sleep with last? That was that a dream? Like, what the hell? Um, so it is clear that this is going to become more as an issue, and probably because I don't think Buntaro is dead because we never got to see it. It's going to be fascinating what occurs when he returns, and don't let her be with child. That that'll be grimy. Um, the final sequence of this show is the display, the showing of these cannons to Jozen so that they can take this back to Ishido and say, hey, this is what we are. This is what we got. They are about to start the presentation, about to start the show, to which Nagakato starts telling people to clear out of the way, clear out of the way, clear out of the way. Starts telling his men of the Izo, clear out, clear out. And Blackthorn is confused. He's like, what is going on? Like, this isn't what I showed them for the training. And all of a sudden, Nagakato makes a hand gesture, and you just start hearing firing coming. And the cannons are turned at them, targeted from where they are because of what Blackthorn showed, and starts firing on Jozen and the men that are there representing Ishido. And like, firing on them, and bloody parts are flying all over the place. They are disintegrating. The cannons are disintegrating these men. And so then you get a moment where Jozen is basically half of Jozen, bloody arms, bloody stomps all over. Is saying, like, what are you doing? This is not the ways of the samurai. Like this isn't the operating order that we do things as a samurai. To which Nagakado just pulls out a sword and cuts his head off. Which then Mariko claims and says it is war, because there's no coming back from that. Like, you have basically shot a cannon across the bow, and now all bets are off. And so Lord Toranaga is going to return and be like, "What the hell is happening?" A war is ensued, and it's now on his son's head. And so, in addition to him being exiled and now on the death block for Ishido and the council, that son of his is right there with him, because boy, did he make a bad decision. It's going to be interesting to see how far this war sort of breaks out and what side Yabashige actually takes in this war. It's going to be fascinating, because every time it feels like he is doing something to sort of prove himself to Ishido, he falls further in line with Lord Toranaga to the point where he can't, there's no way he can. This looks like a setup. It's like a setup on Yabashigo's part. Like, this looks like he set Ishido's people up, set them up to show him the cannons, and he's going to take them all out. Like, it's going to read terribly for him. And so I think he is now gone past the point of no return with Ishido and the council. So does that mean he backs up Toranaga, or does he lean even more to like trying to prove himself to Ishido and like taking out Nagakado? Like, does he take Nagakado's head and say, "Look, I did this for you guys. This is the person who was responsible for this. I ain't had nothing to do with this. This guy's dead." Like, he may have to do something so drastic on the other end to prove himself to Ishido, because right now it does not look well for him, and all bloody hell is about to occur. But you know what's good? Mariko got her some. A really great episode that moves the story along. It's violent. It's very much like Game of Thrones, and I think the writer said House of Cards or Succession, which I've never watched Succession. Shh, don't tell anybody. But House of Cards, it feels like a lot of machinations of people trying to decide who they're with, what allegiance they're with, because they're trying to back the correct horse before they are put into power. And right now, Yabashige is just catching hell from every side. No one is helping him out to make a clearer picture for him. But what did you guys think about episode 4 of Shogun? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, where the place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.